Welcome to session 1, chapter 7, structural organization in animals from class 11th. Myself Jalaja Sajeev, PGT Bio from KV Keshapuram. First of all, the introductory session. You know the basic unit of life, it is cell. Again the functional unit of life, it is also right, cell. What is the body building unit of an organism? Yes, your answer is correct, cell. How will you define a cell? Based on the above questions, it is the building unit. So, it is the structural and functional unit of an organism, the basic structural and functional unit of an organism, that is called as a cell. Now, what is a tissue? A group of cells having similar origin which will contribute a common function, that we can call it as a tissue. Now, when a group of tissues doing a common function, we can call it as an organ. When a group of organs together contributes to a common function, we can apply the term organ system. Thus, in short, an organism is an assemblage of different organ systems meant for doing different functions. Now, come to the different aspects of this chapter, structural organization in animals. What are the different types of tissues based on structure and function? How can you classify, how can you group, or how can you categorize the tissues based on its structure as well as function? See, here you can see so many different diagrams of tissues. First, here you can see the epithelial tissues, different types of epithelial tissues. Then muscular tissues here, different types of muscular tissues. Now, see the different types of connective tissues, and here you can see the nervous tissue, neurons. So, in short, we can categorize the tissues into 4 different groups. Yes, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. So, these are the 4 different types of tissues present in animals based on structure as well as function. Now, first category, the epithelial tissue. It covers the outer surface of an organ. Moreover, it will form a lining layer on the cavities of all the hollow organs. Now, what are the general characters or salient features of this epithelial tissue. The cells of these epithelial tissues, they may be arranged in one or many rows, many layers. And these cells are normally arranged compactly without any intercellular spaces. And the lowermost layer of the cells, they are lying on a basement membrane. They undergo cell division and regeneration throughout their life. The free surface of these cells, these epithelial cells, may be either smooth, you can see here the diagram, the free surface, it may be smooth, or it have cilia or microvilli. Here in this one you can see the microvilli on the free surface of this epithelial tissue. So, it may have either free surface, or it may have a cilia on its free surface, or microvilli on its free surface. There are 3 different types of cell junctions occur between the epithelial cells. Now, what are these different types of cell junctions that we can observe within these epithelial cells? There are 3 different types. The first one, that is tight junctions. Second one is known as adhering junctions. The third one, that is known as gap junctions. First one, tight junctions. You know, if the cells are arranged very compactly, very tightly, it will stop the leakage of molecules across the tissues. So, these tight junctions, they help to stop leakage of molecules across a tissue. The second category, that is adhering junctions. It will cement the neighboring cells together. The third one, gap junctions. It will permit communication between the neighboring cells through the cytoplasmic connections existing between the cells. So, in short, there are 3 different types of cell junctions that we can observe within an epithelial tissue: tight junctions, adhering junctions, and gap junctions. Now, what are the general functions of this epithelial tissue? What they contribute? They cover and they protect all the underlying tissues from mechanical injuries. It helps in secretion. Similarly, it helps in absorption of molecules. It contributes even in excretion. It helps in sensation. Now, types of epithelial tissues. What are the different types of epithelial tissues? First, we can include this epithelial tissue into 2 major groups. The one is covering epithelial tissue. It will cover and protect the different body parts, organs. The second category, that is glandular epithelial tissue which can act as a gland. Now, based on the number of layers of cells, we can classify these epithelial tissues into two different groups: simple epithelium and the other is compound epithelium. First category is simple epithelium. You see here the diagrams, you can see all these are examples of simple epithelium. Why it is called as a simple epithelium? Because it has only one layer of cells. It is thin walled. Since it has only one layer of cells, it is thin walled and seen in areas with minimum wear and tear. Why these type of tissues are seen in areas with minimum wear and tear? Again, the answer is correct here. It has only one layer of cells. Moreover, it is thin walled also. So, it is seen in areas with minimum wear and tear. Now, what are the different types of simple epithelial tissues? You can see squamous epithelial tissue, then columnar epithelial tissues, even ciliated epithelial tissues and cuboidal epithelial tissues. Squamous, cuboidal, columnar and ciliated epithelial tissues. First category, squamous epithelial tissue. Here you can see the diagram of a squamous epithelial tissue. You see these are thin and flat and single layered cells. They are thin cells, flat. Now, regarding its shape, it is polygonal in shape. Cells have irregular boundaries. Most of the time, its boundary is irregular. So, they have irregular boundaries. Like this. And see how many nucleus in these tissues normally? It has only one nucleus at the center. That means again it is uninucleated. And regarding its position of the nucleus, you can see the nucleus exactly at the center. So, they are thin and flat and polygonal cells. Cells have irregular boundaries. They are uninucleated and nucleus is seen exactly at the center. Now, in our body where it can be seen? They are seen in the alveolus of lungs. Similarly, in the Bowman's capsule of nephrons, the unit of kidney. Inside of the blood vessels, it is seen as a lining. It helps in exchange of gases and similarly filtration. So, these are the different types of epithelial tissues as already I have told you. Now, coming to the second type, that is cuboidal epithelium. You see here made up of cube-like cells. Cells are cube-like, you can see here, and how many layers? only one layer, unilayered. Again, nucleus, when you are observing, you can see the nucleus at the center of the cell. Now, in our body, in which part it can be observed? It is seen in the duct as well as in the tubular part of the nephrons. Since they are present in the ducts, it helps in secretion, and in the tubular part, PCT, DCT, Henle's loop and all, it helps even in absorption also. Now, the third one, that is ciliated epithelium. Again, you see here the diagram and try to identify the characters. Regarding the number of layers of cells, both are ciliated epithelium. Regarding the number of layers of cells, it has only one layer of cell. Now, regarding the shape, it may be cuboidal or it may be columnar, tall and pillar like cells. Now, why they are called as ciliated? Because they have cilia on its free surface. Where these tissues are seen in our body? Yes, they are seen in the bronchioles, and similarly they are seen in the fallopian tubes. Fallopian tube means oviduct. Now, what are their functions or what is their significance? They helps in the movement of mucus in only one direction, and they helps in the filtration of air. In the case of oviduct or fallopian tube, they help in the movement of ovum. Now, coming to columnar epithelium. Here you can see the columnar epithelium. They are tall, long and pillar like cells. See how many layers of cells? Only one layer of a cells that is arranged on the basement membrane. So, they are unilayered, they are tall, they are pillar like and they are the slender cells. Now, regarding the position of a nucleus, see these two diagrams, you can see the difference. Here the nuclei are seen at the base of the cells and they have microvilli on its surface. On its free surface, some of these columnar epithelium, they have microvilli. Where they are seen in our body? They are seen in the lining layer of stomach and intestine. Now, since they are seen in the lining layer of a stomach and intestine, they help in secretion and absorption. Now, you can see the second category of epithelium, that is compound epithelium. First category was simple epithelium with only one layer of cells lying on the basement membrane. Here the second category, that is compound epithelium. See the diagram here. Compound epithelium means many layers of cells. You can see many layers of cells lying on the basement membrane. So, it is multi-layered epithelium. Since it is multi-layered, they are commonly seen in areas with rapid wear and tear. And here the lowermost layer of this epithelial tissue, the lowermost layer of cells, they are lying on the basement membrane. You can see here in this diagram. And they covers the dry surface of our skin. It is seen in the buccal cavity as well as pharynx. It is seen as a lining layer in the salivary duct as well as in the pancreatic duct. In the glands of salivary glands, in the salivary duct, similarly in the duct of the pancreas, it can be seen as a lining layer. They helps in the function protection. Similarly, they helps in absorption and they helps in secretion. Now coming to the types of compound epithelium. Stratified epithelium, the first category, it is made up of 5 to 8 layers of cells. Here you can see the diagram of a stratified epithelium. Many layers are present here. 5 to 8 layers of cells are present in this stratified epithelium. Strata means layers, different layers are present. And different layers of these cells, when you are observing, you can see that they are also of different types. Different types of cells you can see here. They divide and add new and new cells to the topmost parts. They are seen in the epidermis of the skin and urethra and in the larynx. The second category, that is known as transitional epithelium. Here again you can see the diagram of a transitional epithelium. Many layers are present, multi-layered. The basal layer that is seen in, or the lower layer of a cell seen just above the basement membrane. They are more stretchable. This is the most important point coming here. They are more stretchable. As I have already told you, they are multi-layered and at the same time they are thin. Basal layer, when you are observing, they are normally cuboidal in shape. They are seen in the uterus. They are seen in the ureters, not in the uterus. They are seen in the ureters. They are seen in the urinary bladder and renal pelvis. Now, the next type, that is glandular epithelium. They are either cuboidal or they may be columnar epithelial cells. Here it is written glandular epithelium. It means they can act as a gland. Now, depending upon the number of cells present in the gland, we can divide it into two types. One is unicellular glands and the other is multicellular gland. The first category, that is unicellular glands. The term itself indicates these glands, they contain only a single cell. So, here you can see the diagram of a unicellular gland. It has only one cell. So, that single celled gland, that is known as unicellular gland. Where they are commonly seen? They are commonly seen in the mucosa of stomach and in the intestine. They are seen in the trachea and nasal chambers. They are commonly called as goblet cells. Very important aspect again. What are goblet cells? The single celled glands. They are known as goblet cells. Mainly they are seen in the alimentary canal. So, what are goblet cells and where they are located? Single celled or unicellular glands, they are known as goblet cells and they are seen in the alimentary canal. Now, coming to the second category of glands, they are the multicellular glands. And these multicellular glands, again of different types. First one, simple gland, have a single and unbranched duct to carry their secretion. Since it has a single duct and it is an unbranched duct, this type of glands that is known as a simple gland. Example, sweat gland present in the skin and sebaceous gland again present in the skin. So, these two are typical examples of simple gland with a single and unbranched tubular duct. Now, coming to the second category, they are known as compound glands. It has branched ducts to carry their secretion. For example, mammary glands, milk secreting gland and the Brunner's gland. Now, where these Brunner's glands are seen in the body? They are seen in the small intestine. Now, coming to the category of glands based on the presence of ducts. If it possesses a duct or is it have a duct or no ducts. So, based on the presence or absence of ducts, we can classify again glands into different types. The first category, it is known as exocrine gland. They have a ducts to carry their secretions to the site of action. So, it is known as exocrine glands, glands with well developed ducts to carry their secretion. So, they are known as ducted glands. Since it have a duct, they are called as ducted glands. For example, salivary gland, mammary gland and sweat glands. All these have well developed ducts to carry their secretions. So, it is known as ducted gland or exocrine glands. Now, the second category, that is endocrine glands. They are ductless glands. It means they do not have any ducts to carry their secretion to the target site. So, ductless glands are known as endocrine glands. Their secretion are known as hormones. The secretions of ductless glands are collectively known as hormones. And you know, all the hormones are proteinaceous molecules. They are secreted to the blood. Since they do not have any duct, how they are transported to different parts of the body to the target sites? So, it is carried by the blood stream to the different site of action. For example, the thyroid, pituitary gland adrenal gland, thymus gland. All these are examples of endocrine glands or ductless glands. Now, there is another interesting term coming here, heterocrine glands. Commonly they are known as mixed glands. Mixed in the sense it has some portion is having duct, some portion is without ducts. That means some portion is acting as exocrine part, exocrine gland, and some part act as endocrine gland. Since it is a mixed gland, we can call it as composite gland. So, which gland is known as composite glands? Mixed glands or even heterocrine glands. They have both exocrine part and endocrine part. They are partially ductless and at the same time partially ducted ones. Typical example is pancreas. Now, coming to some of these NCRT questions. Where do you find ciliated epithelium in the animal body? You have listened to the session, now you can answer. And what are their characters? So, unilayered, and here where do you find the ciliated epithelium in the animal body? It is present in the bronchioles as well as in the oviduct or fallopian tube. Now, coming to the next aspect, distinguish between a simple and compound epithelium. You know, simple epithelium, it is made up of only one layer of thin walled cells, and they are seen in areas with minimum wear and tear. Compound epithelium, they are multilayered epithelium made up of many layers of cells. They are seen in areas with rapid wear and tear, and the lowermost layer of cells, they lie on the basement membrane. Distinguish between simple and compound gland. Simple gland, they have a single and unbranched duct. Already I have given you the example, sweat gland and sebaceous gland. Compound gland has branched ducts. For example, mammary gland, Brunner's gland. Brunner's gland is seen in the small intestine. Now, coming to nervous tissue. Ectodermal in origin. You know, there are three different germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So, this tissue, nervous tissue, it is ectodermal in origin. It is meant for control, coordination and responses to stimuli. Now, what are the important properties of this nervous tissue? The special properties of nervous tissue, it is excitability and conductivity. They lack intercellular matrix. Similarly, they lack the power of cell division. So, these are some of the special properties of nervous tissue: excitability, conductivity, and they lack intercellular matrix, and they lack the power of cell division. Here you can see the structure of a neuron. What is a neuron? It is the unit of a nervous tissue. So, it is known as nervous cell. So, nervous cell is otherwise known as neuron. And you can see the diagram of the neuron here with the different parts. Now, regarding the composition of a nervous tissue, it is not only made up of nervous cells. It contains nervous cells, then neuroglia cells, ependymal cell and neurosecretory cells. Now, the structure of a typical neuron. Nervous cell is known as neuron, the unit of nervous tissue. It is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. And regarding the parts of a neuron or a nervous cell, the first part, this part you can see here in the diagram, and this we will call it as cytone. It is also known as cell body, and it has a granular cytoplasm inside, and this granular cytoplasm of the neuron, that is known as neuroplasm. It contains more number of mitochondria. Then you can see a large nucleus at the center, a single large nucleus you can see at the center of the cytone. Then numerous fine thread-like structures you can see in the cytone, and those fine and thread-like structures which help it to conduct nerve impulses and present in the cytone, that is known as neurofibrils. Now, there is yet another structure, the granular, spherical, basophilic structures, small structures, granular structures, they are known as Nissel's granules. Nissel's granules are also seen in the cytone. Now, coming to the nerve process, dendrons, the small branches arising from the cytone. From the cytone or cell body, there arises small branches, and those small branches we will call it as dendrons. Then, when the dendrons branches, those branches of dendrons are known as dendrites. Here again you can see the diagram, and in this diagram these are the dendrons. So, these small branches arising from the cytone, they are known as the dendrons. Branches of dendrons are known as dendrites. So, all these are the dendrites. They will carry the stimuli, the messages into the cytone, from different parts of the body into the cytone. Now, here you can see a long branch, and this long branch that arises from the cytone is known as axon. The branch of axon is known as axonite. Since here the branch of dendron is known as dendrite, the branch of axon is known as axonite. And this whole axon, in some of the neurons it is covered by a sheath, fatty sheath. It is known as myelin sheath. And this myelin sheath, it is made up of cells called as Schwann cells. Now, you can see at the end of this axonite, small spherical structure, globular structure, knob-like structure, synaptic vesicles. So, all these are the nerve processes, dendrons, the small branches arising from the cytone, and already I have told you it will carry messages from different parts to the cytone. Branches of a dendron is dendrites. Axon, the long branch arising from the cytone, it carries impulses away from the cytone. Its covering of the axon is known as myelin sheath. Now, the cytoplasm seen inside the axon is known as axoplasm. Already I have told you Schwann cells, it forms the myelin sheath. Now, synaptic knob, the small knob-like structure seen at the end of the axonites. Now, what is meant by a synapse? The junction between two neurons. There is a little small gap. So, that gap between the two neurons, that is called a synaptic cleft. The axonite of one neuron links with the dendrite of the neighboring neuron. And this junction between the two neurons, that is known as synapse, and there is a minute gap between these two, that is known as synaptic cleft. Now, coming to the types of neurons. Based on their functions, we can divide the neurons into different types. First one, sensory neurons. They receive nerve impulses from receptors and it is transmitted to the central nervous system. Since they are originating from the sense organs or receptors, they are known as sensory neurons. And they are carrying these impulses, nerve impulses, to the central nervous system. So, it is known as afferent neurons. The second category, that is known as motor neuron. They carry impulses from central nervous system to muscles and glands, peripheral glands. From the central nervous system, they are carrying the impulses to the muscles or even glands. They are known as efferent neuron. In between these two types of neurons, there present the third type, that is interneurons. Inter means in between. So, they interconnect the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. Now, based on the number of nerve processes, again we can divide the neurons into different types. The first category, that is unipolar neurons. Uni means single. So, they have only one axon, but no dendrons. So, it has only one branch towards only one direction, one pole. It is only an axon, no dendron. So, such type of neurons, that is known as unipolar neurons. Normally, these unipolar neurons are seen in the embryos, not in the adult humans. In humans, there are pseudo unipolar neurons. Now, the second category, that is bipolar neurons. Bi means two. They have one axon and one dendron. Hence, it is known as bipolar neurons. Now, where they are seen located in the body? They are seen located in the retina of eyeball, and in the olfactory epithelium. Now, the third category, that is known as multipolar neurons. They have many dendrons and only one axon. Multipolar. In different directions the branches are originating, but axon only one, and they have so many dendrons, hence it is known as multipolar neurons. Where they are seen in the human body? They are mainly seen in the cerebral cortex. Now, what are these neuroglia cells? I have already told you, nervous tissue is not only made up of neurons. Here, the second category of cell, that is neuroglia cells. These are non-nervous cells which are seen in between the neurons. Then, for what purpose they are seen here in between the neurons? What is their significance? They are meant for protection. Similarly, they will give support, mechanical support, and they provide nutrition to the neurons. And they are commonly known as glia cells. The third category, that is ependymal cells. This refers to epithelial cells that lines the cerebral ventricles. Now, what is ventricle? Cerebral ventricle. The small chamber seen inside the cerebral hemispheres. So, cerebral ventricles that are lined by epithelial tissue, that special epithelial tissue, it is known as ependymal cells. Neurosecretory cells doing the function secretion. These are the special type of neurons seen in the hypothalamus of the brain, which will secrete some of the hormones, and these hormones are known as neurohormones. So, this particular cell that present in the hypothalamus, and it will secrete the neurohormones, and such cells are known as neurosecretory cells. Now, coming to connective tissue. It is mesodermal in origin, originated from the middle layer. Cells are normally arranged very loosely with intercellular spaces in between them, and they have abundant amount of matrix. They interlinks the different tissues of the body together. Hence, they are known as connective tissue. Now, coming to the types of connective tissue. The first category is loose connective tissue. Second is dense connective tissues. The third one, that is specialized connective tissue. So, different types, three different types: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissues, and specialized connective tissues. Coming to the first category, loose connective tissue. Matrix is semi-fluid in nature, and cells and fibers are arranged loosely here in the matrix. Hence, it is known as loose connective tissue. Example, areolar tissue and the adipose tissues. So, these tissues, areolar and adipose tissues, are the typical examples of loose connective tissue. The term loose connective tissue means cells and fibers are arranged loosely here in the semi-fluid matrix. Here, The first category, areolar connective tissue, you can see the diagram here. It is seen under the skin. Areolar connective tissue, commonly they are seen under the skin. They are seen around the visceral organs, internal organs, and they are seen on the walls of blood vessels. It is known as binding tissue. It contains different types of cells such as fibroblast cells, macrophages and mast cells. Here you can see the diagram also here again, clearly you can visualize. Areolar connective tissue with mast cells. These are the cells, macrophages. Then here you can see the fibrocyte, and there are different types of fibers such as collagen fibers and elastin fibers. These dots indicates the semi-fluid matrix. So, here you can see the cells are arranged loosely, hence it is a loose connective tissue. Now, fibroblasts or fibrocyte, large cells, oval in shaped, and they will secrete the fibers. They will produce collagen and elastin fibers made up of proteins, collagen and elastin. Now, the second category, that is macrophage, macrophage cells. Their another name is histiocyte. Amoeboidal cells, regularly shaped one, large one, amoeboidal in shape, and they help in phagocytosis, eating away the foreign particles. The third category of cell, that is the mast cell. Large cell, oval in shape or even round in shape, and they are secreting the matrix. Similarly, they secrete the anticoagulant heparin, serotonin and histamine. They help in secreting three components: heparin, serotonin and histamine. Areolar connective tissue, it contains fibers. I have already told you, collagen fibers as well as elastin fibers. Two different types of fibers you can see here. Now, what are the different types of fibers? Collagen fibers, longer, you can see here in the diagram, they are longer one, thicker one, unbranched one, seen in groups or bundles and are arranged parallelly, and they are made up of protein collagen. Their another name is yellow fibers. They help to strengthen the structure and they help in repair. Now, coming to the white fibers, coming to the yellow fibers, that is known as elastin fibers. You can see here yellow fiber or elastin, thin and highly branched one, made up of protein elastin. They are seen singly and they contribute to elasticity. Now, what are the differences between these two fibers? Just you can see the differences. Collagen fibers are white fibers and elastin fibers are known as yellow fibers. Collagen fibers are unbranched, elastin fibers are branched. Collagen fibers non-elastic, elastin fibers are elastic. Collagen fibers seen in bundles and here elastin fibers seen singly, made up of collagen protein and here it is made up of elastin protein, and they give tensile strength and they are meant for elasticity. Now think over to some of these questions. Name the different cell junctions found in tissues. Name the cells that makes adipose tissue. To which category does tendons and ligaments comes under? What are neuroglia cells? Give their functions. Which type of epithelium is seen in the urinary bladder and why? Which type of epithelial cells are seen in the fallopian tubes and bronchioles? Thank you.